everyone, and welcome to Wild Moments brought to you by explore.org. Are you all as excited as I am? Because we have Taylor in the house. Hey, Taylor.
And turtle. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Turtle.
I thought I'd show you my other pet,
Is
family
Turtle
member.
you?
Turtles, no, we've had her since October. Look at her. She's a fine specimen, this one. No, I'm joking. She's probably going to attack the computer just now, anyways. Hello, everybody.
We're so happy to meet Turtle. We've met Tucker, we've met Turtle, we've met Taylor. Oh, so many T's in your house.
So many.
Well, I hope that you all are well. I can say that I've had a pretty long day. So I am really, really looking forward to watching the clips and having some cool discussions with Taylor because that always perks me up, I must admit. How are you doing today, Taylor?
I'm very good. I've got a cold. This is my worst thing ever. I was telling Trish earlier. Every time I come back from the bush and I go into a shopping center, I just pick up whatever everyone else has had and I sanitize and I wipe the trolleys down, shopping carts. But in South Africa, we call them trolleys. We do call them trolleys, right? Yeah, yeah. Just checking.
Yeah, we call them trolleys.
I had a moment where I was like, oh no, maybe it's just me and everyone's going to laugh at me. But yeah, so, anyways, I'm a little bit under the weather, but this has definitely perked me up. So I can't wait to see what clips we have.
Fantastic, because I can't wait either. As usual, Wild Moments is an opportunity for us to go through some really cool clips from the last week, or sometimes we have a theme, and we don't ever get to see the clips beforehand unless there's something very important that we have to do, like look at specific ID or something like that. So these clips, we haven't seen them at all. So we get as excited as all of you. And Mindy is already very excited. She says, the dynamic duo. Can't
Yeah.
wait. Yes, we are the dynamic duo. We were just chatting yet again about how Taylor and I want to do a podcast, but we've been saying this for years, so maybe we just need to kick up the butt
We
and get
do.
it done, Taylor.
August.
Bridget McKinney says, hi, Trishana and Taylor. Hi, Bridget. And of course, if you didn't know, the reason that we can say hi and all these wonderful comments is because we're live and interactive. So please do send through a comment. We love to hear from all of you. Dear NC says, good morning, Trish and Taylor. Nice to see you both ready for some wild moments with a nice hot cup of coffee. Nice. It is very hot here. Taylor and I are not too far away from each other. Um,
Not if we. Oh, no, wait. That lamp looks very familiar.
yes, I am probably about 90 Ks or so away from you, maybe not even that much.
I thought you were in Johannesburg, but then I saw the lamp now and I went, it's like playing
You
Where's
mean
Trishana in the world, but this is very easy.
No, I'm in the bush as well, everyone. And it is pretty warm, pretty warm. So no coffee for us, but definitely water. That's going to keep us nice and cool. Jack DeBoer says, morning, guys. Morning, Jack. Thanks for joining us. Casper's Third Ghost says, happy Thursday, Trish and Taylor. And everyone else from Milwaukee, hot coffee and ready for the show. Oh, there's hot coffee. Laura MC says, good morning from Texas TNT. Oh, I like that. Hello, Texas. Good morning from the TNT. Jean Gale says, good morning, ready in Seattle with hot coffee and cinnamon toast. I have about this much water and about the same amount of banana. Just pretty sad.
Little bit.
Zygote says namaste to me and to Taylor. Namaste to you too, Zygote. Jan Powers says, hi, Trish and Taylor. So good to see you. And yay for Turtle.
I know,
Big
right?
Turtle.
Look, because she's like a slinky. Oh, yeah, she is.
Oh,
Go,
she's lovely.
say hello. Apologies if I just disappear.
Yep, I think we might have just lost Taylor to Turtle. Never mind. I'm sure there she is. She's back.
Karate chopper. No, I'm just joking. I would never do that.
April Owl says, good morning from Connecticut with your raspberry iced tea. Yes, that's the one. And you're ready for an exciting show. Kaoru says, hi, Trishana and Taylor. You just have milk today. Milk's always good. Mr. H UAE 87. Today you say, Trish, today you have water and dates for Ramadan. Oh, very nice. Is it around fast breaking time for you? Well, we wish you all the best for the fast. And then W. Bouchard says, hi from Toronto. Hello, hello, everyone. Taylor, anything we have to wrap up before we jump right in?
No, I'm too excited. I think we should just jump straight into it.
I think before we do, Taylor wants to show you how she does a heart with her hands.
So they actually, I've spoken to Kirst and I said there needs to be a pre-show because you would all be in hysterics if you saw the three of us just interacting. I don't even know how it came up, but somehow people do hearts or create hearts with their hands differently all over the world. And generationally, as we all know, it's quite different. So I thought, here I am with some new news. And I went, do you know that the youth of today are making hearts like this? And then Trish just like, whatcha, swatted it down. And she said, no, they've been doing that since 2019. And I was like, oh, okay. And then
Please,
Kirsty,
that's when I found out about it.
yeah, I didn't even know. Here's me thinking, oh, I'm trendy. The youth are gonna think, oh, Taylor, you're so cool. It's only in my dreams though. And then Kirst tried to do some like origami with her hand. She tried to make, I don't know what she tried to make us do with our fingers to make the heart, which I still don't understand how to do. But Trisha's gonna show you right now. This is how they also do hearts. And go. Look at that. I want everybody just for 1 minute, please bear with me. Try and make a heart like Sharla is doing right now. So she is using her, I was using the wrong fingers. Okay, so it's your index finger and your middle finger. I was trying to do it with my index finger and my thumb. I don't
This
know.
was that's one way too. I know
That's
that
how I
way.
do it. But then, yeah.
But then you know the most accurate way is to do it like this.
We've got to beat harder. We can't hear.
It's just not as pretty. Anyway, that was our pre-show discussion, everybody. Taylor and I have now figured out that we are no longer youths, and it's okay.
Gone are the days.
But that's why we can have some really cool wildlife discussions because we don't spend our time looking at what the latest way to do a heart is. So how about we jump into
Yeah.
let's jump into the first clip. Speaking of hearts, we're going to jump into some love, some Varro's or Black Eagle love that has been fruitful, at least at this phase for now.
Those clips look familiar.
Do you know, I don't think I've ever really heard them call.
Have you? Oh, okay, fair enough. But
Yeah.
also, you haven't really been. Have you been in many of the like areas where you could see black eagles though? Because that would also
Well,
make a difference.
in Cape Town, you would see them quite often.
Hmm.
There was one pair that I would see very often. Well, two pairs actually. One around Betty's Bay and one kind of in the Misty Cliffs area on the peninsula. But I would only ever see them soaring. I would
Hmm.
never see them, on a nest. So this is
Yeah.
crazy. And Taylor, you said that you've been spending some time in this area, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
So this is a new property for explore.org and Africam. It's very exciting. It's a reserve not too far away from us either. It's probably about an hour and 20 minutes drive from where I am sitting right now. And that's with traffic, with all the trucks. It's called Salati Game Reserve. And it's sort of just past Palabora on your way to Gravelot. Not that I think many of these little town names will mean anything to any of you, but if you wanted to have a look on a map, that will give you some idea. But in Limpopo, this is incredible. And I've spent a long time here working with eco training. They have a training camp here. So I spent like, I cannot even tell you this reserve is magical. And we used to see the black eagles all the time. There were so many different nesting pairs in different parts of the reserve because it's a huge reserve. I forget the size, but I think when I was there, it was like 24,000 hectares. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a bit more now, maybe closer to 30. So yeah, so it's a very special place. I mean, they've also got an amazing cycad reserve there, which is just incredible. The species only occurs on the the granite rocks and doesn't occur anywhere else in the world but that rocky outcrop, which is crazy. So yeah, so it's perfect habitat for these black eagles. And then I didn't see them on any nests, but obviously where we were driving, there were lots of cliff faces. We would see them quite regularly. So when they're hunting, that often vocalize as well. And then on the nest, and then up in Mashatu in the southern parts of Botswana, same thing. We used to see quite a few black eagles, and in Makuleki, which is just kind of the northern tip of South Africa, northeastern. So yeah, it's so crazy. I'm glad you got to finally hear them though, because it's such a special call.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite a I don't know, it feels so appropriate for the nest. It's almost an endearing kind of sound.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as you know, if there's a nest around, there's going to be eggs at least very soon. But from what I understand, so both the pair or both parties in the pair build this kind of platform nest together that's usually in some pretty inaccessible places. So it's not often that you get to see black eagles. I remember in the Walter Sisulu Gardens in Gauteng, there used to be a black eagle pair. No, in fact, isn't that where we had our black eagle camp? But then they had a nest very close to the waterfall, so you were able to actually see them. But now
Oh,
they've moved their nest quite far away. Luckily, we were able to with the Black Eagle cam. But I have been there, and I did see them again soaring. But if there's a nest, that means that the pair is all happy, they're nice and bonded, and they're looking for a place to lay eggs. So in the next couple days, maybe actually in the next couple weeks, because I know that they spend a lot of time kind of fine-tuning that nest and settling in before they actually lay eggs. So it might take a bit of time before they lay their eggs, but once they do, then we'll be sitting with bated breath and waiting for those eggs to hatch.
it's very cool. It's very exciting. It's a
It is
nice
exciting.
story to
It
follow.
is so
And it's great.
exciting.
I'm really happy because it's a reserve that I spent so much time on as well. There's no ways we're going to be able to climb to the top of these cliffs or want to be so intrusive to disturb it. So
Yeah.
the team's gone out and done an incredible job to set this camera up.
And from what I understand, they did have one about 2 years ago, and that clutch was unsuccessful. I think it was the clutch, not yeah, the eggs were not successful, which is, I mean, at least from what I've read, their success rate is, in the 70s, which is pretty fantastic for any animal, honestly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cross our fingers for this particular clutch that we know will be coming. So it's only a matter of time. Um, Krishna is asking, do they make permanent nests? I think they do return or they can return to the same nests, but it's not a in fact I can't think of any bird that has a permanent nest. Can you think of one?
No, not one that they'd only use the same site if they were successful the year before for breeding purposes. What about? Oh, I'm trying to think. Birds that use the same nest. What about hammerkorps? Because would that count? I'm just trying to think. I mean, they have multiple nests within their territory, so if they're using the same one all the time to roost, I wonder.
What about things like village weavers?
Village weavers, buffalo weavers, sociable weavers.
Because that's a colony, right? So they might not necessarily return to the same exact nest, but they will return to that colony. But I think that's the closest I can think of.
This is true.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
And oh, fantastic. Kirst has just reminded us that they'll probably mate between the end of March
Hmm.
and then eggs around April. That's what we're
Of
hoping for.
course.
So once they lay eggs, I think it's about a month and a half or so until they hatch. So lots to look forward to there. And from our side, some in very important news. Grumpy Old Man has reported back that when he tries to make a heart like that, it looks like a headless bat. Also,
No,
something I would like to make. Bat in general doesn't necessarily have to be headless, but glad you tried. Bridget McKinney did it. She got it.
absolutely.
Bob from Kalamazoo says, Happy Thursday. The dynamic duo is back. A mango and passion fruit kombucha. Bob, you speaking my language. Very nice. Also, some other interesting information from Curse is that this nest is new this year, and their
Hmm.
old nest is just below this one.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
it's below their old nest. So again, that is testament to what we were saying, is that often, particularly large predatory birds, they will often use the same general area, but not necessarily the same exact nest. But also remember that nests take um, they take upkeep. It's like having a home, right? And birds don't live in nests. They only use nests when they have eggs and they want to breed. And
Hmm.
other than that, they're not using nests. So imagine you come back and it's probably all messed up. So why not just build a new nest?
Absolutely. The bird that I've seen it most consistently with birds using almost exactly the same nesting site is fish eagles. And I'll talk
Mm.
about a pair from the Eastern Cape and another reserve where I don't even guiding there for maybe 3 years, but the guides that had been there for much longer had always said when we did one of the boat cruises, that nest up there on top of those euphorbias, that nest has been used by this pair of fish eagles for the last 8 years. I mean, this was a long time ago, but they were adamant and they kept going back. So they must have been so successful. The support of
Yeah.
those euphorbia trees must have been perfect because those nests can weigh up to about 70 kilograms over time because they just keep building and building, which is incredible. So Trish, you could probably get up in that nest and sit there and be a fish eagle. How exciting!
I mean, I'm sure I could. I'm sure I could. I mean, I've heard of bald eagle nests that have been um like I want to say 6 meters because that's what I remember, but that's ridiculous. But the comparison was that you could put a giraffe into it.
What? That's
That's
great.
how humongous these nests
Yeah.
would get. And the same thing, returning to the same site. But when we think about returning to the same nesting site, we must remember it has nothing to do really with that bird's life history. It has to do with how successful they've been. So even if it's the type of nest like a, a, a village weaver who's returning to the same colony, if it's always unsuccessful there, it's going to try something new. So it's always something to keep in mind that at the end of the day, how animals behave, especially when it comes to success, hunting success, uh, reproductive success, it's almost like they're constantly taking measurements and data and trying to give themselves the best chance. Mindy says, so nests are primarily used for breeding and rearing young. Then birds must just roost up in the trees in the evenings. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think one of the cutest things you can find at night, which is not something you should be looking for, but you know, when you're looking for things and it's like me looking for chameleons, and then you come across random little birds just tucked in for the night. Yeah, it's very cute. But otherwise, a nest would just be an unnecessary thing to have to give energy to.
I have also seen birds like waxbills and firefinches using woven nests just to roost in. Like they're not breeding in them at all. I've also seen cutthroat finch doing a lot of chitterdam outside of breeding season, going into the probably the southern masked weaver nests and actually just sleeping in there. And you'd see them fly out, but you wouldn't necessarily see them fly in. So I've seen it with blue wax bills as well, which is quite cool. And then, like I said, a couple of firefinches. We have just got a fright. Same thing, walking around, next minute, something like flies out and then lands on a branch pretty close by. And you're like, oh, it was just sleeping in this nest, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. W. Boucher is also letting us know that in Canada, eagles and falcons return to their same nests as well. And Zygote says even house sparrows.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. And then Kauru is saying that African green wood hoopers do use the same nest sometimes, and you've seen it. I think we might have actually seen it on the cameras, Kauru. There was a green wood hoopoe nest, and they would use the same nest as they did last time. And I only knew that because I happened to look at the chat when you all were in the Boma chat on the Africam website watching and talking about it, which is where I learn a lot, by the way. So keep it up. And then Andy says, happy trifecta Thursday, Trish and Taylor, and highlighted and bolded all the T's. All right, on to our next clip. Let's head over to Old Donio What was that?
Forget I did it. This is a dream sighting.
Right?
Are you actually kidding me? This is not real. This is AI generated. It can't be real.
Don't say things like that, Taylor.
Oh my goodness. This is amazing. I just found it so unfair. I spent so much time in the bush. Okay, to be fair, I haven't sat in many hides at night, but this is just incredible. So, like, to just try and look at this leopard just slinking around, going, I actually don't mind. I mean, I'm a bit hesitant that, the big guys are there, but I might try and sneak another drink if you don't mind. Going straight, wanting to go
Um,
back.
Something feels quite young about this leopard.
Yeah, even just the movements and
Yeah.
like inexperience. Oh, that's so amazing.
Oh, and it's not something I can remember seeing often at Old Donyo.
Oh, there goes a buffalo. Oh my gosh, we're right behind one. You are brave. No, buffalo's going in the wrong direction. Don't worry, everybody. I'm gonna go and get it. Oh,
And we're still around.
crazy.
Shame. This leopard really wants a drink, and
I,
that's the thing. Young leopards need to learn how to make a gap for themselves, to find the opportunities.
absolutely. I suppose also learn your hierarchy within the ecosystem. Like, who
Yeah,
can I push around and who can't? Okay, clearly not these animals. But it's crazy to just see the problem solving. Okay, I can't drink from the same side that all the animals are on, but maybe if I go around,
how's this drinking stance?
it's just this as a screenshot is just unbelievable.
Oh, this is stunning. I feel even this buffalo is like, oof, not worth my time.
I can't believe this is really happening. No one's going to believe me when I head back to Buffalo Bills. Yeah, definitely a young cat there.
Yeah.
Turtle, look, it's you.
There we go. We finally got a little bit of a drink. This is so cool.
Opening of a buffalo. Bellowing.
Now, like with many of the animals we get to see at Old Donyo, maybe keep an eye out. Maybe we see this leopard again. We can learn more about that specific individual and its behaviors.
That was special. That was really
How
nice.
challenging is everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so nice.
I
I
just
really
cannot.
hope.
Sorry, I should say I cannot get over these live cameras and the behaviors that we're starting to see. It's just madness. It's a whole different world for safari guides and conservationists and scientists to be able to get all this footage that we never would have been able to have got before. I love it. I think it's
Yeah,
incredible.
and it's also first-hand information. You're not going to have to listen to somebody's interpretation of what they think they saw, but you can look for yourself and interpret yourself. And a lot of the time, that's the majority of what we do. We have to interpret, and then it obviously means then it's not quite objective, right?
Exactly.
So it's really important that we have these kinds of resources for conservationists and for scientists so that they can go back and have a look at the really interesting behaviors we've seen over the years.
Wow.
Uh, Jack de Boer, absolutely. An African elephant, a Cape buffalo, and a leopard. Doesn't get much better than that. That was, yeah, that was insane. And Mindy, you say you're surprised the aliens would tolerate him at all. I think there was a little bit of movement from the elephants, but honestly, I thought that maybe the buffalo would have made more moves, but it seemed like at the end of the day, nobody really cared. Yeah. And before we move on to the next clip, the grumpy old man says, a leopard, an elephant, and three buffaloes walk into a bar. The buffalo says, I can get this guy, and then walks. in the opposite direction of the leopard. All right, let's head over to Hwange Safari Lodge and have a look at something really interesting. I want to see it myself. Okay, couple of zebras. Oh,
Hello.
there's some very interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, obviously you can see that the face is very, very dark, which is unusual. But I'd also like to point out, and I don't know if I'm being biased somehow, but those stripes are very straight. Look at the ones on the neck.
They are very straight. You're quite right. They're actually the most perfect stripes.
I don't think I've ever seen stripes that straight before.
No, that's crazy. One thing I will say, Trish, because I'm excited to hear this conversation, but I've had people ask me this for years and years now, and I've seen it, and I've actually never known the answer. When you see newborn zebras, quite often they have, when they go from like sort of that newborn phase into the first couple of weeks of their life, they have a very dark black muzzle that sort of extends up below the eye, and then it
Mm.
rectifies itself, and then eventually it goes away. But I'm not entirely sure. Is that just like a baby, like fluff coat that eventually falls away, or are you going to start talking about the diffusion reaction theory?
It's not a theory,
I
Taylor.
mean, that thing that you told me.
It's a type of reaction, but I think that what you're talking about is, when the darkness comes from onto the top of the nose between the
Yeah.
eyes. I don't think I think that's actually just fur. Um, the other thing I thought is maybe it could actually just be furless, and we know that they have dark skin underneath, and then the rest of the fur is starting to grow in and fill in, because that would make sense. But with this particular zebra, you can see that the actual fur on its muzzle and around its face and its mouth is actually black, unusually so. Like, it almost looks like a Halloween costume, right? Um, uh, and ultimately, any type of variation that happens in an animal's skin coat or in their fur coat is a result of some kind of either mutation or something wrong with that diffusion reaction that happens to move um, melanosomes or pigment holding cells through the animal's body. But that is very um, looked like somebody took a bucket of paint and very badly threw it at the zebra. But that is very, very interesting. The only explanation I have for that is that there's an issue with the actual reaction. But then the reaction seems to go well for the rest of the animal's body. But I don't think that's any type of like leucism or melanism or anything like that, because those types of conditions, they can't happen partially. Either they happen or they don't happen. So I don't think that's what we're looking at here.
It's so funny you say that though, because since you taught me about the diffusion reaction, it's been so interesting and trying to like explain that to people. But a lot of guides are still stuck on the fact, and they are adamant that you can get partial melanism. And then when you start to like Google it, it does sort of pop up, but there's no like science behind it. It's like magazine articles being written about this. I don't know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I wish more people could understand this process so that we could, like you just say, move away from that. You can't only partially be melanistic or leucistic. It's either one or the other. Yeah, I don't know, it would be nice to be able
Yeah.
to get out to more people.
Um, and the thing is, I think that when the actual mechanism for melanism or leucism, well, first we know that that's a genetic issue, right? And we know that genetic issues can't just be in your arm or, on your nose. It has to be through your whole body, right? But I want to know the exact mechanism of it, because At the end of the day, we're still talking about pigment being transported by cells. So a disruption, a minor disruption in that transportation somewhere along the line of that mechanism, is that considered a problem with the reaction? And at which point does it shift so much that we consider it melanism, you know? So that's something I have got to still fully understand.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fancy. I mean, it makes sense exactly what you're saying. You all know what happens when you put the printer on and you haven't used it for a while and you start printing, right? Those first couple of lines are either dark and smudged or non-existent.
Yeah.
It starts to come through properly. I don't know. That's how my simple brain looks at it.
Yeah, everything's got to warm up at some point or cool down. Anyway, that was a very cool discussion. Even though we started off trying to make hearts with our hands, we can also have intelligent discussion every now and then. Anyway, off to our last clip, and then we'll say goodbye. This might be a one for you, Taylor.
Oh my gosh, look at it.
You're definitely better with your amphibians than I am.
Oh, I love them so much. This is so amazing to see. And this behavior is also just the best. Watch this frog catch these. Looks like alates or termites. Can't see if it's the reproductive individuals or no, it just like looks like maybe harvester termites actually working.
Yeah.
And they're
No,
quite
I am seeing some wings.
Are you?
Yeah.
If you can
You'll
all
see
see
it
it now.
in the light.
Oh, okay. I must just look that side. I'm looking. Okay, well, hopefully you'll see them. But this is looks like an African bullfrog. It's a bit difficult to see when you're looking in infrared. So one of the things that I'd use to distinguish between a giant bullfrog and an African bullfrog, for an example, is looking at the tympanum. So if you don't know what that is, it almost looks like the ear hole. They don't have external ears like you and I do, or a lot of other animal species, but their ears are internal. But on an African bullfrog, it's got a white spot on that tympanum, and giant bullfrogs don't have that. Also, giant bullfrogs are like crazy and they've got a huge smile. Like think of the Joker smile. It goes all the way back past their head. It's crazy. And some people, I know there've been a couple of comments about people saying that it's also called the edible bullfrog. Absolutely. These are just common names. The edible part comes from this species in the Latin name, which is edulus, which clearly describes that it is edible. I've never eaten the frog before. Have you, Trish?
No, I have not, thankfully.
I haven't, but it's quite popular for people to eat bullfrogs, especially when you have those explosions and they don't happen necessarily every single year. It's very specific because they don't live in permanent water sources. They sort of pans that tend to dry up or grasslands where there's lots and lots of water around. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing to see that there's still one or two, out and about doing their thing and catching all those termites. I did just see a giant bullfrog and it was incredible. I haven't seen one since I was a kid and I almost died. It was amazing. We called him Herbert.
Oh, they're so typical bullfrogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, he made a little thatch house. That was quite cool.
And it just very quickly, something that I remembered, I don't know, it was in the recesses of my mind and suddenly popped up. But I remember, might be completely unrelated, but in Australia, there was a cane toad problem.
Of course.
Right? Right. And cane toads can be toxic, and they started to affect the population of crocodiles that they were having. So crocodiles would eat it and then they would die, but then they'd still go after them. So I saw recently that they've been training the crocodiles with detoxified cane toads. I don't know how they detoxify them, but so they've removed the poisons, obviously, from their glands in some meticulous process, injected them with a substance that will make the crocodile sick, but not kill them. Because the problem is that you can only learn if you're still alive, right? So if you eat the cane toad and you die, you can't pass on the knowledge that you shouldn't eat that to anybody else. So they've been teaching crocodiles to not eat cane toads by making some cane toads make the crocodile sick, but sick enough to avoid them, but not to kill them, which I thought was very interesting.
We underestimate the intelligence of wildlife, even something like a crocodile. right? Which I think most people would go, it's a reptile, can't be intelligent. They can't even regulate their own body temperature, just anyways.
No,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
they can learn. And obviously, I suppose, pass on that information somehow. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our time together, even though Taylor and I could go on and on and on and on. And we will in the latest edition of the TNT podcast, which we're not sure how we're going to do or when we're going to do it, but it's going to happen. For now, you're going to have to put up with us, everybody. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Taylor, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Turtle as well.
Thanks, Turtle. Sleeping.
Thanks, Turtle. All right, everyone, your questions and your comments are the things that make everything better about this show. So thanks. I hope that your spirits and your smile is much bigger than when we started, because I was super tired and now I'm feeling pretty fresh. That's what wildlife can do. So keep watching the cams and we'll see you next week. Goodbye for now.
Bye.